Hi there, and today I'm going to talk about how I painted this in Substance Painter. So let's get started. Just as I set things up here and break down the maps, let me sort of tell you my goal here. So this is the image that I saw originally that inspired me to do this, which is pretty cute. But I didn't like the textures on it. I wanted something a bit more colourful, a bit more interesting to look at, other than just a pearly sort of ceramic, I think that is. So I wanted mine to be more sandstone, made of sort of terracotta basically, and I wanted more colour, a lot more colour, and this is the inspiration for the colour side of things. You can see it's a lot more colour, and I want to get that hand painted look. So I wanted to get you know, the dirt and the painted sort of look that you get when you overpaint edges and you sort of splash, and I didn't want to be too careful about where I was putting the paint. Yeah, so it was, very much an arty project basically. Now here I'm sort of laying down the base. I wanted a sort of a good solid base to sort of paint a typical sort of art sort of approach. A good base to paint on top of. I brought in several materials from Substance Source. If you've not used that, it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of good materials on there, so go and check that out. It's if you're paying for a subscription or maintenance or whatever. I'm not sure how it works, but I'm paying regularly, so I get access to Substance Source, and you get access to all these awesome materials that Logarithmic have created. So that's really cool. So here I'm just sort of painting, setting up several layers using these materials to get a sort of a really good coat that I want. So here I've just imported my normal map and my ambient occlusion from 3D Coat when I exported it. From there, now you can see it's taken on a lot more of the shape that I intended. And what I'm doing here is I'm also doubling up the layers just to multiply the material, but I don't want it everywhere. So I couldn't use the adjustment filter on the end. So what I did was use two layers, and then I went around and just took out the normal in the areas of the map that I didn't want it to appear. The extra normal on the second layer basically. Going around, cleaning it up, taking it out. You can see that. You can see it's got extra normal there, and I'm just taking it out of these areas because I don't want it there. Because it really exaggerates it if you leave it if you leave it too much, and you really don't want to do that because it can make your model look horrible, basically. So just clean it up, make it nice and smooth, making it clean, so that's better. And that's another thing, make sure you keep, when you're doing this, you get a lot of layers, which I do on this, and I get a lot of layers that I probably don't need in the end, and I just leave them in there. So make sure you name them. Naming them is really important because you can get really confused if you don't keep on top of your layers. Okay, so now going into sort of stop. Just adjusting my base layer coat there. I tend to use folders quite a lot as well, and I put things inside folders so that I can keep them grouped together. Okay, yeah, just another, still working on that base layer, that base texture. And here you can see I put in quite a rough sandstony one, and but I can still see, yeah, I can still see the normals underneath, so it's blending through really nicely. It's giving that really nice texture to the statue. See there, you still see the cracks and the little crevices that I want to get across. I keep swapping it down from 2K to 4K texture size because it kind of gets a bit grainy. I'm not quite sure what that is. No mip mapping, I don't think, in Substance. When you're pulling it out, it gets really noisy. And here I'll start painting the coat, basically. Just experiment with different shades, just to try and get the right shade. I think. And a little bit of height. I put a bit of height on there just so that, you know, if you paint on a surface, you do get that. You do get a sort of a bit of a bump, and it gives it a nice sort of feeling. It gives it a nice sort of texture, so it does raise it up just a little bit. It actually felt really good painting this. It actually feels like you're, you know, because I've got a Wacom tablet, but I've got it on a screen. It's quite an older one now. It's big. It's quite heavy. I don't know the model number. I'll let you know in the link below what the model number of my Wacom board is. It's quite old. It's really heavy. I had to get two of us to lift it onto my desk. But it's really impressive, and it's just really nice. I think the newer ones are much better even still, but it gives you the sense that you're really painting on the surface of this. And I've got quite a powerful video card. I think I've got a GTX 1070 now at the moment, and you know, it's not having any problems with that at all. I didn't use many masks, deliberately didn't use many masks, because, you know, I wanted to paint over the edges. I wanted to get a bit messy in there, and didn't use many sort of smart materials or anything like that. So it was all slapped down by hand. I did use in this model a lot of smart masks, and you'll see that in a moment. Satisfying painting, blocking out the colour on this. It's just all the base colours basically that I start with. I just lay them down. I think later on I get a bit more, you know, I jump from one thing to another, but at this early stage, just starting with base. Here I used a mask to do this. I think later on I'll get rid of it because it kind of restricts me a little bit, but yeah, it's a bit weird that wasn't working quite right as I expected. Yeah, so I'll get the base down from underneath, get all the bits underneath. Let's start on the face, just laying down a base colour for the face, the head. Yeah, I use an effects modifier just to modify the colour of that. dropping right there. You can see I just play with the values, and that's really handy because you don't have to worry too much about what colour you put down initially, because you can go in and modify it afterwards. So yeah, I paint the crown. Even though I paint the crown quite a light colour here, later on you don't see me do it because I start to speed it up towards the end because it gets quite long. I do paint it the same colour as the base because I want to top and tail it with the same colour. So I paint it green after this, and I'll do that a couple of times. I paint it one colour, modify it, change it, and that's kind of what happens when you're painting art. Just shows you the process I went through to do it. And if you are doing this kind of work in Paint, I really highly recommend getting some type of Wacom. You can get them pretty cheap. It doesn't have to be a Wacom brand. Get another brand. I don't know what other brands are like. I've only used the Wacom brand in my time. So I'll put the name of I'll put the model number that I've got in a link below so you can see it. But you can set up all the keys, and all it's got buttons on the sides which you can set up to different buttons, different keys, different commands basically, which is quite cool. Here I'm doing just doing the edging on the coat, just not taking too much care, deliberately. Like I said, just there's a couple bits there which I really overdid, but it's okay. And I am actually talking over this after, at the same speed as you're watching it. It's quite interesting watching it like this. You can actually learn quite a lot from actually doing it and then watching it back. You can see, I could have done that differently, but yeah, you can see at this point as well. I've put on a mask, smart mask on the coat. Can you see the patchiness on the coat? And they're quite handy, although this one is a bit weird because on some of the UV seams you get some straight lines, and I had to go in a bit later on, you'll see me do it later, to fix some of them and just paint over them on a different layer just to disguise them a little bit. And here I'm experimenting with adjusting the height map and drawing detail into that band. I was just experimenting on the back before I sort of started to get into it in earnest, if you like. And somebody asked me why I didn't use the high mesh for the normal, and I did on this one because I brought it in, but I did actually add additional normal map, additional detail to the normals whilst it was in Substance. You don't have to do it on the high detail model. It's okay. Then you can see the picture again. Just looking through some of the colours, getting my reference. Like I was saying, you don't have to. You have to use your sculpting package to get all the detail. You can add it in here just as easy, and it's just the same. There's no extra or less time. You still got to draw it in and sculpt it in. You're just doing it in here rather than in your sculpting package. However, if you go back and modify the mesh, it could get a little bit messy, but I wasn't planning on doing that in this sculpt, so I just added the detail in Substance. But saying that, even if you do modify the mesh and bring it in, you can still, Substance lets you bring it in. Once you've started, it will let you bring it in it will let you bring in a modified mesh, and it will retain its UVs, or do its best to retain the UVs and the work that you've done on it already. The worst case scenario is you can sort of export all the maps you've done so far, bring in your new mesh and then just apply them on top. So you haven't lost anything, you can do that and then carry on top of that. So that's another way of doing it. So it's not really, you're not losing anything or gaining anything from doing it on your sculpting side or substance side. Obviously the big things you want to do on the sculpt side. Here I'm just adding some cracks, some detail into the normal. So it looks like it's chipped and damaged. You can be careful doing this stuff because you can overdo it. If you do it too much, it can look bad. But if you do it subtly, one or two places, it can work really well. Start adding in sort of dirt and in the crevices and corners on some of the layers. I don't do it. I haven't finished painting all the base layers yet, but I started just to get a feel for what I'm sort of aiming for. I like to do it on a little patch. Okay, now I'm going to paint some. Just at the base there, I felt like it needed some sort of almost like a border to separate it from the bottom. Just made it feel quite nice. You can see the corners there looking really good. They're just quite convincing. I mean, it could be a statue right there. Like dirt and. So you can see the paint bump there, the normal on the paint, on the red paint, slightly showing up, and that kind of works really well. Dirty, just blending it in a little bit more because it was quite bright. Putting dirt in all the cracks because that's what would happen, dirt would collect in all the little crevices, so you want to make sure you get it in there. And you can see that straight edge on that cloak there, the red up by his, yeah, I'm zooming in on it now, just above where I'm painting. You can see a straight edge. And that's because of the UV seam goes along there. So the smart mask didn't quite, it stopped at that point. Didn't quite work. I don't think it's set to triplanar at that point. So I go in and patch it up later. So I do the detail again, just enhancing. See, I'm sort of pushing the normals further, even though I've done them already. I'm just pulling them out a bit more, so don't be afraid to do that. And I'm adding some more detail around the arm. Again, adding some more detail, more cracks and dents, especially on the edges where it would bang. Again, if it was a real life object, it would hit the edges, arms would hit, so you get a few dents there. Here I go around and highlight the pattern just so it pops out a little bit more because it was a bit flat. Okay, so that's me adding a smart mask onto the base now, just to get it all a bit more grimy, a bit more dirty. And I'm going and adjust the values, change the colour, bring it down a bit, darker, and yeah, just modify those values. I think later on I do a lot more painting on top of that as well, but I kind of skip over it a little bit because it gets, like I said before, it gets a bit long, this video. I don't mean to make them so long, but these objects take a long time to create and to paint. Just to sit here, try and get it within 30 minutes. And now you can see I paused the video, I went on and painted quite a lot. So you can see the base has changed now, changed the lighting, just played with the lighting some more, just to make sure it's working quite well. Now I'm just going to finish painting that handle there, the base. Yeah, I forgot to turn down the roughness at that point because it went all glossy. I tried not to do any sort of gloss on this, all very, very minimal. I think there's a bit on the base, you know, here and there, but not much. Tried to keep it to a minimal because I wanted it to be quite a chalky, sort of stony sort of material. Yeah, just adding another smart mask to the lantern part. There's me doing a sort of touch up on that patch there, just getting the red colour right. See, that looks a lot better once it's patched in. Just adding some more grime and some bit more dirt to the cloak, to the coat. I keep calling it a cloak. I don't know what it is. It's kind of a cloak thing. But it's. I love this. I love I think it's Chinese. I think it's a Chinese lantern statue, and it's just the style of it's just lovely, amazing style, and the reference material for the colour was really cool too. I'm just painting inside the normal map there slightly, just to emphasize the sweep of that cloak a little bit more, the creases on the back, just very subtle. The shadows do it a bit, but I just thought I'd just emphasize it as if a bit of dirt was collected in there. Yeah, start on the face here. This is the weakest part of the statue, I think. The face, I wasn't very happy with it at the end, but you know, it's okay. I think I could probably spend more time on it and make it a lot better, but you know, it does the job. Looks okay. Certainly fine for the video, and you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. You can see it's deliberately, when I sculpted it, I left it all really wobbly and odd shaped, sort of bulges sticking out, and like it's been chipped away and actually crafted from stone and then painted. That was the idea. So just painting in the dips so that it emphasises it a little bit more. Go too far here. I'm just taking some of it off, so I went a bit too far with it, but later on, I think now I think I do a jump here because it started to take quite a while, so I just jump forward. You can sort of start to see the end results a bit more. There we go. So I took it, you know, I painted over a lot of the stuff I'd done, and just doing some final sort of last minute details here. Clean up. See, the eyes are a little bit weird and I wasn't convinced. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right. Looks like it's been through a lot. So you can see there I painted the cap green, and put a lot of dirt around the head, you know, just made it look really grimy basically. Some of the paint around its chest sort of coming through as if it's been painted and chipped off, and yeah, different colours. And yeah, I changed the colour of his arm there because I wasn't happy with it being a light colour. It just didn't work right. And that's it, pretty much. That's the lantern. That's my approach to painting that. Very much hand painted. Very tried to get very authentic with it. Very painterly. And yeah, so I hope you like that. And next one, I'm going to go for something organic. So I've done a few hard surface models. So next time I'm going to get something organic and bring it into substance. So I'll see you next time.